Good morning, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a Prelude to War, another playtest video or series coming up to you very soon. This will be playtest number 5, I believe. But before we get into rolling some dice, just want to talk about a few things, some rule changes, some edits, and just some things to go over. Now, the last little while, Triple Crown has been very busy in his personal life with kids and work and things going on, and I'm preparing for a bike race next weekend, next Sunday, so I'm very excited about that, but a lot of training has gone into that. But in the background, while I've taken a little bit of a pause, just want to thank CB's Bill and Captain G and Eggman and Hilltop, who have been also engaged in their own playtest. So even though I have not been playing myself, I have been engaged in conversation and dialogue and helping them navigate through their games, and also trying to come up with solutions to some of the rules or some of the questions they may have had. Now, the goal for us is still to find a balance in this playtest so the game is balanced. And many of the errors that we have fixed, you would not have seen because they're just a rule edit or a punctuation or a grammatical error in the rules themselves, which may have led to a misunderstanding. Now, these are some of the units I'm going to talk about in a minute, but the first change I'm going to talk about, it's a beautiful day here in Vancouver, is the situation here in East Poland, or in Poland in general. Now, in World War II, as we know, there was the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, which basically allowed, or was an agreement between the Germans and the Russians, which would allow them both to declare war and attack Poland, and in this game, without declaring war on each other, or some kind of an alliance. But it wasn't really an alliance, it was basically, we're both gonna attack Poland, and the Germans were going to be able to attack West Poland and Helsinki, and the Russians were going to be able to attack the Baltic states and East Poland. And that basically, they were still going to remain neutral. Now, in gameplay, if Germany was going to then attack East Poland or Baltic states, that was a declaration of war against Russia, and the Russians would not be able to go any further. However, just for gameplay, because you can see here in East Poland there's 4 units, in the Baltic states there's 2 units, that is a natural buffer for the Russians. And why would they go in and kill those units if it only meant, losing some of their own, and they had other objectives. They wanted to go into Finland. So we started off by giving a 5 NO bonus for the Russians for controlling both East Poland and the Baltic states, and that still wasn't enough. So this was an idea from the Hilltop Pillbox, and that is that basically, if the Russians do not attack East Poland on turn 1, that means the Germans, the deal is off. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact deal is off, and the Germans can then plow through and attack East Poland. So the Russians might not want that, because they do not want the Germans that one step closer to Russian soil. So that is one fix we've had there, and this was an idea from the Hilltop Pillbox, which thank you to him for that. But Captain G and CB's Bill have really gone above and beyond in terms of working together in sort of a collaborative effort to sort of get the rules where we want. We don't want a situation where the game comes out and in time people are fighting about the rules or form a disagreement and form their own chat like they have on the Discord in 36 and continue to sort of navigate or fight their way through the rules. We want to fix as many of those problems as we can. Another little wrinkle here, and this was from CB's Bill, which was the CCP. You can see the CCP there, and that is they are going to finally get their own NO. So what is their NO? Well, how do we make this sort of relevant? So when the CCP when Russia and Japan are at war and the CCP controls at least one territory, they will now get a 2NO bonus. So that makes them a little bit more relevant. I believe they can purchase cavalry. I can't remember. I'm going to have to double check that ruling, but it's going to allow them to get more units into the game. Now in terms of setup changes and balance. Oh yes, also, to talk about East Poland, we've moved 3 more units from Novosibirsk to this territory here in Bessarabia. So 1 light armor and 2 more infantry. So that should give Russia the punch to at least attack East Poland on turn 1 and have some success, and also the Baltic states. So that's going to be the balance there. We also found that on turn 1, at least what I was doing, the British would move this small navy down here off of Madras into the Mediterranean on turn 1 and build an air base, and that meant British had the naval superiority, and the British would also go in here into Greece and annex the Greek boats, which used to be 2 destroyers and a coastal battleship. Well, we felt that was a little bit too powerful, so we've taken away one of the destroyers, one of the Greek destroyers, so that is a setup change. In terms of units, so to talk about these guys here, this is an SS infantry. I don't know if you can see that. So they used to cost 4, they attack at 3, they defend at 5. Germany can produce 1 per turn. They will now cost 3 IPP. So just found that as a German player, wasn't buying them. So now the German player, that's going to be an automatic buy, which is kind of relevant because, the SS were quite involved in World War II for the Germans. Now, self-propelled artillery, this is across every nation. So they are now going to cost 3 IPP with a maximum of 3 per nation. So found as well, these attack at 2, they roll 2 dice at 2, attacking and defending. And we found people just weren't buying them, so we made them $1 cheaper. So a unit that can move 2, it can blitz if paired with an armor. So we feel now they're going to be able to get into the game. That was, this is a self-propelled artillery. This is an amphibious tank. So this is what I meant to talk about next. And the Japanese and the Americans both have amphibious tanks. So they are now, I think, attack and defend at 3. However, on amphibious attacks, they are going to offer a +1 for themselves and also for another attacking unit. Political situation change over here in Argentina. We found it was almost impossible for the Italians and the Germans to make it down here. So now, as soon as Spain becomes pro-Axis, that means Argentina is automatically activated and joins the Germans. So that's going to be a little wrinkle there. And of course, when that happens, that means Chile becomes pro-Axis. So that's going to be a problem here, create a little bit more fun down here in South America. So that is a new wrinkle there that we're excited to get into the game. I'm just looking at my notes here. Neutral fleets. So this was a problem last game, and this was a something that Captain G had come up. So imagine the British are here, and they want to come through and attack, say, Italy, but there is this Spanish fleet here. So what happens if the Allies attack Spain but don't have the capital? So they can attack Seville, they can attack Spanish Morocco, they can attack Barcelona, and which is not the capital. So what does that mean? When the Allies have basically attacked Spain, that means this sea zone here, containing all these Spanish boats, is now hostile to the Allies. So if they want to move through it, they have to basically, clear it first. They can't just come through. Now, if there was a lone submarine and it was a cruiser, they could come through. But however, there's like 5 or 6 boats here, and they would have to clear it if they want to come through. Now, if the the Allies are able to capture the capital of Spain, which is, what is it? I don't even know what it is. Madrid. They would roll for the boats. So this is kind of a unique scenario, but this scenario also kind of plays out over here in Denmark, where there's these two Danish boats in here in the water. So if the Axis are going to declare war on Denmark and come in here from, say, Western Germany, but also want to move their navy through, they have to attack the navy as well. They can't just, you know, when they're rolling combat, kill this guy, if that's the battle they declare first, and then and then roll for the ships. No, if they're declaring a battle on Denmark, that means this sea zone is now hostile. So hopefully that clarifies that. And something else you guys might not have seen because you can't see the setup charts, but in terms of the setup charts with the Commonwealth, the units they can buy, now we've added a little sort of game aid, so to speak, in the setup charts, where now instead of, you know, Canada being able to produce this, UK doing this, you know, Anzac doing this, there's now a Commonwealth total in the specialized unit. So on the setup charts, you know, it will say Commonwealth total. That means the Commonwealth as a total, for example, can have 5 corvettes or 5 of another unit. So that should help understanding of the setup charts, and that is basically it. I would recommend anybody watching this channel to hop over to CB's Bill or Captain G's channel for some more Global War 1939 playtest content, and otherwise stay tuned for round 1 of Solo Playtest 5 coming up shortly. Thanks for watching, folks.